Merry Christmas. I'm Pat, one of the countryside rangers from Clydemuirshiel Regional Park. We're sorry we can't get you along to the Christmas events this year, but we thought we'd make you up Christmas kits and also show you how to make a Christmas wreath. So what you'll need dogwood or willow, cypress, other bits of greenery, larch, spruce and Scots pine cones, variegated and normal ivy and holly. You'll also, in your kit, you'll get some twine, some wire and some ribbon. What you will need will be a pair of secateurs or scissors, and if you've got it, a hot glue gun is very good. Right, the first step is using your dogwood or willow to make the frame of your wreath. If you start off, if you bend it slightly, and that makes it just slightly more flexible. So bend it into shape. Don't worry too much about the shape of it at the moment. If you sort of just get it to the size that you want. Don't worry about the things sticking off, you can cut them off later on with secateurs. So once you've got that on, take your second bit of dogwood and just put it slightly further down. So I started it there, and just try and trap the ends of the first bit in. Give it a hold. I find it easier if you put your hand through the loop and twist it back the way. So you can see how flexible it is. Hand through and twist it back. And keep doing that. Don't pull it too tight, because if you do have those little gaps between them, it's easier to get the cypress in later on. Same thing again, put that in, just hold it with one hand, put it through, and you'll keep doing it. Okay. If you can try and tuck that one through another gap, there. And as you keep adding more in, you'll get more and more strong. Hand through, keep on doing it. Just watch, if you're making it with other people, just watch and make sure you're standing well apart so you don't whack someone in the eye with a bit of dogwood. Okay. And we'll just do one more. And the more you put in, the stronger it will become. That's not too tight, but it's be fine. Okay. Now at the start, if you wanted, instead of just holding it with your hand, you could have tied it off with a bit of twine first. So as you can see, that's the shape of your wreath. And then you can just, if you want to, you can just secateur those off, just cut them off. Okay. Okay, that's the hoop done. So all I've done is I've cut off the ends here. So the easiest way I find is to lay it flat on a table and then take your cypress or the other greenery. Now if you can, try and get an end on it so you can just take it off with your hand or your pair of secateurs. And then if you can, just try and ease the end through the wreath. And just keep building this up. Just go round building up the layers. So you've got a couple of cypress, and always try and put the next bit in front of the bit you've just done. If you can't manage to poke it through the ends of the wreath, then the easiest step is just to lay it down in front of it. Just lay it flat on the wreath, and then using your twine that you'll get given in your kit, and you'll just build it up. You'll just tie it together. Now you only need to do the top layer, you don't need to do the back end, because no one's going to see that because it's in front, it's on your door. So just keep building up, and as you can see, that's all I'm doing it. I'm adding another bit of greenery in and a bit more cypress in as well. And just keep building it up all the way along the wreath. And just use whatever greenery you want. You can take bits off again and just build it. I won't be able to get this one in, so I'm just laying it flat like that. And again, I'm going to use the cypress. Maybe take the ends off. You can see how easily it comes off. And I'm just going to build it up. And all you do is, for the next one you do is you just hide the bottom of the previous set. So that's how you're building it up all the way along. So we've gone all the way right round the wreath, filling it up with cypress and the different bits of greenery, and now we're going to use the twine you get given to actually gather it in together. So easiest way is you just do a little loop in your twine, like this, and then start, whatever was the top, start from the top and just very gently just put the twine through the middle hole, and if you can find the loop, then you just put the rest through, and that gives you something to tighten up against. Now it is easier if you do this if you have a helper, so John, one of the other rangers, is going to come and give me a hand, and all he's going to do is he's going to gather the material in as we go on. You don't need to make it too tight, and if you do like to have things sticking out, you can just go and do that. So as you can see, if you will gather that up together, make it in, and you just make it nice and loose like that. Now don't worry about the twine, because using with your ivy and your holly, you can disguise the twine. And you can make this as tight or as loose as you want. It depends on what sort of wreath you like to have. It's easy enough, even if you don't have someone to help you, it's easy enough just to gather this yourself. Okay? And what we'd recommend is make sure that you have enough twine. If you don't have enough twine, then it is a bit more difficult, but you just add another bit in. And then that's us nearly up to the stop. So remember, turn it over and just tie it off onto either onto a bit of dogwood, or just tie it off onto the bit of string. Okay, so that's your wreath. And then if you want to, if there's bits here that you might not like, you can just take one of the ends and just gather it like that. So it's up to you. If it's a bit like that, again, just cut it off with the set of secateurs. Right, this is the fun part, that you get to be creative. So you've been given ivy and holly and spruce and Scots pine and larch cones, but you can add in other things. You could go out to your garden and see if there's any flowers still flowering. You could have rose hips, you could have hydrangea heads, you could have anything like that. You could also add cinnamon sticks and also dried orange fruit. So it's up to you, it's whatever you want to do it. Now some of the things you can actually, like the holly here, you can actually just stick right through and it'll go right through the end. If it's a bit loose, you can always wire it in, or you can do a bit of glue gun later on. Bit of the ivy in here, and again, you can see if you've got a bit of twine, you can just hide that with a bit of with your ivy, things going on, the nice ivy heads here. You might need to take your secateurs and just cut it down a bit, and you just keep building it up all the way down. I'll put that down there, and it's up to you how to do it. We've got nice, we didn't have a lot of flowering holly this year, but you should hopefully be able to get a bit in your kit. Now, this bit here I'll show you, if you don't have a glue gun, with the cones, if you have the glue gun, put a bit on the bottom of the cone and just press it down. The one thing to watch with the glue gun is it's extremely hot, so mind your fingers and have cold water ready in case you do get glue over you. I suggest if you've got kids, adults only. If you don't have that, bit of wire, just tie it round and tie it off. Just twist it round, and then the other end of the wire, just poke it through the wreath in whatever position you want. It's maybe a wee bit fiddly. Poke it through. And once it gets through, you just pull it through the other side once you actually find it. I've lost it in the greenery. There it is. So just pull it all the way through, making sure it's tight at that end. And then again, it's the same thing. You just tie it off. Try and tie it maybe around a bit of the dogwood, because that will make it more secure. So you just tie it off like that. Okay, just tie that off, and there's your pine cone on that. So that's the way to do that. And just keep building it up all the way right round until you're happy with what your wreath looks like. So we've continued putting all the holly and ivy round the wreath, and now we're finally going to go and put the cones on. So if I'm going to use a hot glue gun, but if you don't have one, just use the technique I showed you earlier with the wire. When you're using a hot glue gun, just put the glue on the bottom bit of your cone, and then keeping your hands well away from the glue because it is hot, just stick it down onto whatever position you want on the wreath and hold it for a couple of seconds. When you're using your glue gun, if you're making your wreath with children, I would have adult supervision and also have cold water handy in case it gets on your fingers. So that's me finished putting the cones on. So the final thing you need is a hanging loop. So you can either use wire or anything, any ribbon. We'll give you a bit of ribbon, but if you want to use something else, that's fine. So all I'm doing, same technique as the twine before, just put a knot in it, and then whatever's the top of your wreath, just put it underneath and then put it through, and that's you with. If you want to make it even tighter, you can always just put a little knot at the end. You can use twine or wire for this, and then maybe put a bigger ribbon around it if you want. Okay, and then all you do is you just hang it outside, and maybe to keep it fresh looking, just spritz it with water. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and have a Merry Christmas.